presentation is by Zacharias. He is a resident at Nicholas Children's Hospital and will be talking to us today about the impact of medication education service by pharmacy insurance.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zacharias. I'm a first-year resident at Nicholas Children's Hospital. And again, today I'll be talking about the impact of medication education by pharmacy insurance. So nothing to disclose. So according to objectives today, we'll describe the upcoming child HCAP requirements and explain the value of incorporating pharmacy insurance to improve patient care and their impact on HCAP scores in pediatric hospitals. So again, the purpose was to see their impact on our current model for medication education and implementing the layered learner model, which we'll be talking about later, where we have the attending pharmacists, then we have the pharmacy residents who are in charge of the pharmacy interns, similar to the medical model of the attending, the medical residents, and the medical students. So just a quick background on HCAPs. Adult HCAPs is called the Adult Hospital Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems. So it's a mouthful. It measures the quality of care during the inpatient stay. It's required by CMS, it's publicly reported, and it's a paid-for performance program. So Medicare reimbursement is tied to these scores. So child HCAP is a pediatric version. It was created in February 2014 and measures the experiences of the parents and guardians of the pediatric patients versus the actual patients. Now, these pediatric patients have to be less than 18 years old. They must have one or more overnight stay, and they must have a non-psych ICD-10 diagnosis at discharge. So child HCAP is currently now required. Voluntary use. There's no public reporting of results, but it may be required pending results from the CMS 2015 pilot that was run. And again, if these scores are required, then hospital reimbursement will be tied to these scores. So it's important if your pediatric hospital does not have a system for medication education that it's better to start implementing it now. So we proactively modified our adult HCAPs reporting tools, tailoring the telephone study questions to pediatrics. So we just made a minor change, just changing for giving the patient, and we changed that to you or your child. So the main questions are asking if the patient or family member understands the use of the medications and the side effects of the medications. And then there's a scale that they would rate us always, usually, sometimes, or never. And CMS nationwide, they only include the always. So only the patient thinks always, that's what's counted for a score. So there was a study done using pharmacy insurance to improve patient care in Cleveland Clinic, Florida. This is what I wanted to kind of piggyback off of and implement at our pediatric hospital. So again, they were using that layered learner model where they have the attending pharmacists, the pharmacy residents, and the pharmacy interns. So they would hit these patients, they would hit the pediatric patients during the entire inpatient stay. There would be med-recs at admission. They would counsel them after rounds for the inpatient medication HCAPS counseling, and then there would be medication HCAPS counseling as well. So they were giving medication education service throughout the whole inpatient stay. And they saw that HCAP scores increased by 12%, pharmacy interventions increased, bedside medication delivery capture rate increased as well. And today there's been no published studies on a pharmacy intern-led counseling program to improve medication education in a pediatric hospital. That was the goal of my study. The study was a pediatric, nonprofit, community-based teaching hospital. It was a prospective cohort study held in our med-surg units comparing June 2015 versus September 2015. So here you can see our baseline scores for explanation of new medicines, 83.3%. This is fairly high, which is fairly common among the entire U.S. Patients usually understand what the medication is used for. Everyone usually explains that. However, for side effects, you can see 61.1%, very poor. So this is across the board nationwide. Side effect scores are low nationwide. Patients don't understand the side effects, so this is what we really wanted to improve. So I created a competency checklist for our pharmacy interns where and the competency checklist consisted of a training video. They would learn how to navigate the EMR system, navigate a drug information databases with like CEPs and neofax, and appropriately document a counseling session. And once they checked off all these, they would be signed off by any licensed pharmacist. So here's an example of what our whiteboard looks like in one of our patient rooms. So it's a three-step process. The first step is the M in the box. So this was our old M in the box, and we changed it to this M in the jack in a box. So this M in the jack in the box would be on the whiteboard. And the parents and families, parents and kids love this because as soon as they knew that this M in the Jack in the Box was on the whiteboard, they knew that there was a new medication that they needed to learn about. So the second step was once the parents and the child were able to communicate, they would actually teach back the use and the side effects of the medication. Once they're able to teach back the information, we would have them fill out this medication side effect log behind here. You can see that here. So I made side effect huge. The initial drafts I made side effect even bigger, but I had to scale it down because we're hoping to actually upload this into Cerner. So parents, you can see the parents are actually signing for every single medication that they were counseled on. So they would sign that they actually understand the important side effects of each medication. So when you sign for something, you tend to remember it. So we're hoping that 4 to 6 weeks after discharge, when they take that survey, they remember that they were counseled on the side effects. So you can see how the scores greatly improved when we did this pilot. So 61% was in June, our baseline, and then increased to 79% in September, which is when we started the pilot. So it's an 18% increase in communication of side effects. So in conclusion, we did see an 18% increase in the communication of side effects in the medication domain for this pharmacy intern-led medication education. We did have significant limitations. We needed a sample size of around 200 to test for significance. So that's where we wanted to expand this program. I actually did implement this hospital-wide, and we're going to be looking at that data later on. And these surveys are very subjective, this is depending on the patient's emotions at the time. And the scores actually included observation patients who were not counseled. So when we looked at the reporting tool, we tried to see if we can actually remove that, extract that data out, but they said because of confidentiality reasons, there's no way to exclude those patients. And remember, the child HCAP requirement, they only include patients who have more than one overnight stay. So in the future, we may want to consider another reporting tool, or maybe include observation patients in our counseling as well. So what are the next steps for us for expansion? We did do a hospital-wide implementation of this program. We were able to coordinate and was able to educate all our nursing clinical coordinators. I was able to educate our volunteering department. All our volunteers are educated on the program as well. So they're also helping to teach all our family members and children about this program, so they are educated right when they come in. We're also currently expanding our pharmacy intern rotation. We have contracts with 3 of the 6 pharmacy schools in Florida, and we're working on 3 more. And again, the last step is again to implement the layered learner model, where we have our pharmacy interns acting as pharmacist extenders. So we want to eventually expand once we have more interns or more resources. We want our interns to be able to do MedRec at admission. We want them to do inpatient HCAP counseling, and we want to do discharge counseling as well. So I just want to acknowledge my preceptors on this project, and my references. A quick question, true or false? So public reporting of child HCAP scores are required for all pediatric hospitals. True or false? False, yeah, exactly. So it's not required yet. So it might be required. So if it is required, remember, our scores will be public. So parents and families may choose your hospital depending on the scores. So it's a very important thing to consider. And that's it. Is there any questions? Did we use any so the question was, did we use any drug information material? Written material. Yeah, so what we do is if the parents request it, we actually print out, Cerner has built-in drug information pamphlets, so the nurses would use that because from a feasibility standpoint, the nurses will be helping us on the weekends when we don't have any coverage, but the pharmacy interns would actually go to Lexi. They would go to print out the Lexi pediatric drug information pamphlets, and they would actually highlight the use, and they would highlight the side effects on those pamphlets. Patients. It is kind of lengthy, so sometimes it can be 4 pages per med, so we're trying to revamp that process to make it into 1 page. Our NICU actually has 1-page sheets, just very, very simple, maybe no more than 10-word sheets, but it has to be validated. So, but a NICU has some success with just like a 1-page sheet with just the 3-4 words of the use and 6 or 7 common side effects. So you might think about doing that over once we expand it more, if we can validate those 1-page drug information.
So just to clarify, do you have the families write down the side effects that they learn as an additional feedback?
So that actually would be a good thing to do also. But right now, our teach back is just saying, so instead of doing closed-ended, just open-ended, what's the use of the medication? And then they would respond, and what's the side effect of the medication? They would respond with 2 or 3, and that's our teach back. So that's how it is in the training video as well. So it would just be I mean, it would be helpful. They would write it down too. They could write it down on paper that they could keep as well to remember. That was something that we think about using.
Well, I was just wondering, so we're looking for this clinic, we have a lot of international students. So I didn't know if there were any practices you all had in education for those students who can't necessarily speak English or may not have the room to provide to them in their own language.
Yeah, so we have a lot of Arabic patients as well. So if you go to Lexi, when you print out those patient education pamphlets, there's actually like 20, 30 languages on there. So you can actually pick the language. And also we have those blue phones in every room. So those patients are speak a language that's not common. So we mainly have English-speaking and Spanish-speaking patients. If there's a patient that's not one of those 2 languages, there's usually a blue phone there already in the room. So we would just call it blue phone international telephone language service. And they would help us communicate those side effects. And we would actually tell them, like, what's on the papers, we could somehow read it. We would actually highlight the use and side effects, or if one of the residents or someone in the hospital knows how to read that language, we would actually highlight that on their specific language information sample too. So it is more time consuming, but that's the process right now. Is there any questions? Thank you.